stories untold. Cash flow Savannah, where ambition takes hold. Started with $1, stretched it to a mile. Every setback just to settle for style. Stacking paper, vision clearer than glass. Hustle.
Welcome to Cash Flow Savannah. How are you today, Chandler? Everything going well?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Getting past these busy months. Not busy, but Savannah's busy in October and November. So.
Yeah, very busy months for Savannah. Probably our lowest month, in my opinion, is usually just between the holidays, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But our subject today has to do with busyness. We're going to talk about how to decorate a short-term rental on a budget. And, you know, Chandler and I are very, very deep in this market, and we talk to people from all over the U.S. Savannah is no different than any other. We're going to speak on Savannah, but what we're seeing and what we have been seeing for quite a while is that the things that are decorated really, really well are booking and making money, and the things that are decorated very poorly are not booking and they are not making any money. So if you're watching this video, I'm guessing that you're wishing you had more revenue in your short-term rental. We all do. Times are tough. It's been a tough year, but we're going to bring you some really actionable tips and tricks. Chandler and I have decorated a lot of units. I would say personally done over 40 just in my own portfolio. No, way more than that with the hotel. Chandler, gosh, we've decorated a lot of units. In the tens, multiple tens for sure. I don't even know. That hotel was off the chain. But just here in Savannah, you know, I was hard for short-term rentals for probably 8 years. I was buying everything I could. So we've done a lot with decor. I'm not a professional decorator. I would say Chandler is. Like, Chandler is off the chain. And the stuff that he has touched in Savannah every weekend, every week, it's booked. It's booked into the spring. We have some summer bookings. You're incredible. So you have a lot to say here. I guess I'm your sidekick today.
No, I think the first thing about decor is just, I think the standards you have to have for yourself and the standards for your property just has to be higher. I think that's why sometimes it's good to get a professional. I wouldn't call myself professional, but I think the standards that I do have are a little bit higher than most. I'm a little bit pickier. Some people are, oh, that's fine. So I'm like, no, that's not fine. We're going to do it the right way.
That's a bad word in the South. It's fine.
Some of the things that I point out are some things that people might never even think about. So I think that's like the key word for me today would be your standards have just got to be higher.
I agree. And one thing that I don't think a lot of people know about you, Chandler, because you control the guest visit with Sid Was Here. You hopefully decorate, but even if you didn't decorate, you're in charge of that moment when they walk in the door. That is your moment. And you make sure that when they do walk in the door, the home is immaculate. It's completely clean. It smells amazing. It's in perfect order. But you also do a great job making sure the home matches the photos. And our reviews are through the charts on this. They all walk in. Oh, it's exactly as pictured. And I don't know if you've been there, Chandler, but I have checked into multiple short-term rentals, and you walk in and you're just like, oh gosh, the pictures are 10 years old. It's like a dating app, you know, where you see a really pretty girl or guy and you're excited to go on a date with them. And I've heard this, I've never done it, but I've heard many times you show up at the bar and the photo's 10, 20 years old and it's someone's grandma that you thought was in their 40s.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah. Am I channeling my inner David Green? Did I just get an analogy? It's not a sports analogy, but it counts.
That's not David Green's the analogy king.
He is.
But yeah, no, I mean, it makes me nervous for some guests to see a photo and then like not be excited when they walk in. Because the photos we put out there like are amazing, but if you walk in and man, this ain't as cool as it looked in the photos, like that would just tear me to pieces. So yeah, when people walk in, I want to make sure that they kind of get that wow factor. I want to make sure they're like, ooh. I wish I could see the guest reaction when they do walk in, but I don't get to, obviously. Kind of create properties. They kind of create properties when they do walk in that they're like, you know, they're going to be like, ooh, wow, this is pretty cool. If you don't, then you're probably not going to have a very successful.
Well, and I love that you combine the visuals with the lighting, the smell. You know, it's a whole thing that you wouldn't get in. Yeah. I love that. And any kind of real estate, something's going to go wrong. Just the other day, over the weekend, you know, I'm always watching the chat or whatever. One of the showers in the unit, the light was out, okay, which that's kind of annoying, right? The guest was adorable. She was like, it's fine. I just wanted you to know. Don't worry about it. We were like, we'll come in, we'll fix it. I just wanted you to know. And then she said, it's been such a wonderful stay. I don't care. I'm just letting you know. And I'm like, thank you. Like, the guest was on our team. team there. We
Yeah.
would have fixed it. But I love that they had been having such a good experience that they weren't going to like kill us over this one light bulb. You know, they were like, hey, I'm just being your friend, letting you know. And we're like, wow, amazing. I really liked her messaging a lot.
Yeah, no, I saw that messaging too. I was ready to go. I was like, hey, I'm going today. You let me know.
Yeah.
But they ended up saying, hey, it's not a big deal. I'll still probably go today and fix it. Yeah, no, that's another theme. And well, it seems like the avatar you choose in short-term rentals is very important as well. It makes it a little bit easier to manage when you do have a well-decorated, well-managed home. So I would definitely recommend going towards the higher-end avatar.
Absolutely. And the service has to match, right? If there's a light bulb out, you have to be willing to run over there and handle it and pay the money because we want a 5-star experience. Those 5-star reviews, they make us so much money because the guest has confidence and they say, oh, I want to stay there and I'll pay a little more for it. That's what we're really going after is it's higher revenue. But really, one thing I want everyone to understand is that guests are extremely visual. You can have the best location, you can have, the best gravel in the driveway or whatever, but the decor really, really matters. I really encourage everyone, whatever market you own in or you're looking to buy in, go to Airbnb or VRBO or whatever your platform is and select Savannah, Georgia, and just scroll through the properties and what catches your eye. Talk about that hero shot, Chandler. What do you look for? Because it's interesting. You and I have different taste in hero shots, but no one's wrong. But how do you really look at that hero shot and how do you set that up? Because that one photo is a lot of times your money right there.
So for my hero shot, I actually want everything. I want it to be completely different. That's the hardest thing about scrolling through Airbnb is everything looks the same. Like even there can be well decorated properties, but they still look the same. There's a lot of well decorated properties, So like if you have a lot of well decorated properties, you're like, oh, which one do I choose? And then most people just choose the cheapest one, the well decorated but cheapest. But then I would want the one that's just like, wow, this is just totally different. Well decorated and totally different. That's how my hero shot I would want my hero shot to be a little bit bolder colors, bolder everything. Some people like going that bold. I've always been on the bold side with everything I do. But yeah, that's what I would do. That's something bold, whatever it is. I don't really care if it's a bedroom, living room, as long as when I'm scrolling through Airbnb, it's like, okay, that's different. Because if you scroll through Airbnb, everything looks the same. You'll see a bedroom shot or a living room shot. And yeah, it can have a nice couch with some nice throw pillows on it, but it's nothing that's like really grabbing me. And so that's where the bold colors come in. And even I like the lifestyle photos as well, because that just automatically, I've seen like 1 or 2 people do that in Savannah. That just automatically throws you in right there.
Explain what you mean by lifestyle photos.
The lifestyle photos is when you actually have people come in and model. It could be a family or depending on the avatar you choose. So that goes back to the avatar you're trying to create. If you're creating a family-friendly environment, you get a family with parents and 2 kids. If a bachelor trip, you get those. But yeah, lifestyle photos are great.
Well, and I've noticed you're not afraid to do a dining room table photo. And I think that's so interesting because very few people do that. And one thing, if you guys ever want to go through our listings on SibWasHere.com, Chandler, you'll know if Chandler decorated it because the dining room table is decorated almost better than the rest of the house. And then he'll use that and it adds quite a bit of texture and color. And I would have never thought about this. I'm old school. And when I first started in the space, they always said, oh, it has to be a bed. You want to have the master bed be the photo. That's the hero shot. So I've always had that mindset and you've really kind of come in and changed that for me. So talk about your dining room tables. What's your favorite thing about a dining room table? What's your favorite thing to put on there?
I don't know if I have a favorite, but the dining room table set goes back to so my mom's has always set tables, always. And there used to be a competition at church. They would do every Christmas. You would go in and set a table for a dinner, basically. It'd be a competition for best looking table. And so I think that's where I got the setting of the dining room table. And obviously I used my mom to help me out with trying to make that thing look really good.
She's great at it. Now, how many times did she win that competition is my next question.
Ooh, that's a good question. I was too young. I was always running around doing something else at church to even care about that. But I do remember going and walking through and seeing those tables. Yeah, she has some really good. I remember seeing she's some really good looking tables. And that's kind of that's what got me started with that. But I mean, I think a nice centerpiece is kind of the key. If you get a good centerpiece, that really helps. And then obviously if you just set the table with some chargers and some plates on top of it, it just adds color. It adds a little texture to the whole room. It adds a little dimension than just a plain little table. And then a runner across the middle is nice. I know that's been something that I've always seen
Well, and
Yeah.
a runner, some candlesticks, some chargers. I mean, the chargers that we got for this unit that's killing it that you did, I think they were $3 each. And we're here to talk about not spending too much money. This is how you stand out. You do the dining room table to the nines because no one else is doing it. And it's going to maybe cost you $50. I mean, it's not that much money for that crazy shop where people go, wow, these guys went above and beyond the average listing in Savannah. Yeah. Yes, we did. That says something to the guests. It's like it's just like a signal to them, I guess.
Yeah, no, setting tables is actually really cheap because you already have plates that you have to have in the unit, and then we just use the plates that are already in the unit and put it on top of the chargers. But yeah, chargers are cheap, like $2, $3. That's nothing to set a table and make it look like really good. And then we have some candles. And to be honest, I don't know if people are scared that the table's gonna get messed up. They don't get messed up, and it seems like I've seen a couple people like move some things around. It seems like majority of the time I walk in there, it looks like it's hadn't been touched. So don't be afraid of them like getting messed up or whatever. Put everything on that table. The pictures are great, I think.
And they always say the devil's in the details, and you're really good at those details. So that's really our first decorating tip is like put a hero shot that's very interesting. That's something that no one else is using. Okay. If you're the only guy in the stream of 100 with a crazy, beautiful dining room table, that's a showstopper. They're going to go, what?
Yeah.
The other thing I've noticed too is, I look through Southern Living or whatever the magazines are, and it's frequently a table, a very well decorated. It's rarely a bed, right? But yet I've got this it had to be a bed. And so I've had to, you told me that and you started really focusing on the table, I was like, what is he doing? But then when I started looking at magazines, I was like, the kitchen table is really the centerpiece of the home. And I never thought about it that way.
We're like in one of the units that we're probably talking about is a really good centerpiece. It's in the center of the room, and like just the photos, we have mirrors set up to where the mirrors just bounce off a wall, and like it's just pretty insane how everything kind of bounces off of each other, and it's just really cool. You can use certain things to kind of tie the whole room in, and we use mirrors a lot too to kind of, because we can see one wall bouncing off the mirror and you can see the table running through the whole thing, and it looks really good.
You're right. Well, that's another great tip for our viewers because mirrors are very important in a short-term rental. Okay, when you have more than one chick staying, you need more than one mirror. Okay, we're all kind of vain. Guys maybe don't need mirrors as much, but like you see a lot of these short-term rentals, and I've posted about it. I've done a lot of content on this, but you need a full-length mirror in every short-term rental. But I would say put too many mirrors in. Okay, you can't really have too many, especially a small space. It makes a space feel a lot bigger, especially if they're decorative. They add to the decor. If you can kind of work that in like that, those mirrors will really pay for themselves. And I wouldn't say mirrors are overly expensive. Do you have a great source on that, Chandler?
You dig a little bit for mirrors. If you dig a little bit, sometimes you'll run into we found huge 6-foot mirrors, so 6 foot tall, which is a big mirror, gold, heavy, for $100 a piece. But you have to dig a little bit. You don't just, I would say probably Wayfair would be Wayfair has some good things. You have to be careful though. You have to like really do your dimensions on Wayfair. Like some things you'll order and it's just like not good.
And those mirrors that you're talking about, you guys put them on bedside tables. So they're up high. So they go from basically the bedside table all the way to the ceiling. Okay, you don't need a mirror behind the bedside table, but they just add so much drama to the room. When I saw that, I was like, wow, that was smart. That was great.
Yeah, that makes the room feel bigger. And then, that was our idea was, you can still get ready in front of these mirrors. You can still, you can stand in front of it. It looks good. But, that's, one of my favorite things to do probably is those big old mirrors like that. I love those. And even in my own room, we have mirrors in my own room. I just love it. I think it looks really good.
Very dramatic. I love it.
That's not expensive either. Yeah, you have to dig a little bit.
And I want to say, we haven't said the word Goodwill yet, but I want to say that don't get a cheap particle board wood mirror. We're talking get something that looks good, and a place like Goodwill, I do give you permission to get those used. If you can find something really interesting and old and heavy that really adds to it, I have no issue with a used product. One of the properties that we just started managing, it came with mirrors. They came with the sale, and I told the owner they were very similar, very big, gorgeous, heavy gold mirrors, and I said, please keep these mirrors. They're stunning in the dining room. So that's one place I would encourage you to look on Facebook Marketplace. toys. Look at Goodwill, look at Wayfair, look anywhere. Just get stuff that looks really nice.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think some other like, oh, this is another awesome tip. The topic for photos, what we did was, so we would actually go get nice frames. So most people just buy the whole photo, and we were getting big photos because most people go too small on photos. They get like the little tiny little ones and put them over a king bed. They'll put 12 by 12 over a king bed and it just looks awful. And what we do is, this is a great tip actually. We buy the frames for really like good prices. I'm trying to think where we got these frames from.
And you're talking big gold frames too, like poster, not poster size, but almost.
Yep. And they're not plastic looking. Because that's the one thing you got to look at. Like, there's some things that looks cheap. You can kind of look at it and that looks cheap. And then there's some really good frames that don't look cheap. I think we ordered the frames on Wayfair, really good prices. And then we actually found a guy print the photos for us. And like, it was like $12 to print the photo. And so we got all these pictures for like insanely cheap. Like we had the budget for photos was like way up there, and then we found this kind of hack that really helped. And they looked better in my opinion. Like the guy that helped us print photos used a certain, I wish I could tell you the exact paper that he used. It was just 10 times better. I was like, it was a third of the cost of what original picture should have cost. So that was a huge help.
Well, in the box too, because I see it all the time. Let's say we have a penguin theme. I'm just making it up. That would be very childish, but we're going to go with penguins. You know, someone will know they have a penguin theme, and then they do all the decor, and by the time they get to the wall decor, they're out of money. Okay, I've been there myself. And so they frantically go to Target or Home Goods or Walmart, and they just grab anything that has a penguin on it. And like you said, sometimes it's this big. What are you doing? Like the wall decor needs to be planned very meticulously, and it needs to match the size of the room, the size of the walls. It needs to match the decor. And so with you guys custom printing everything and using the same frame in each room, maybe different sizes of the same frame, but it was the same gold frame. I mean, they looked like you spent several $100s on each photo, and I think maybe you spent 30 or 50.
Yeah, it was like $30 a photo. I wish I could go back in my iPad. I had it all down, but it was like super cheap.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that we were like, we're doing this more often. It can save you so much money. Definitely get the frame. And then it helped us like really get the pictures we wanted. Does that make sense? So we were able to go on Pinterest and look up, hey, we want this picture. We need this color. We need, because if you type in like, hey, we need a cheetah that's purple and pink, they'll have that. If you go to Home Goods, you're not always going to find a purple and pink cheetah, you know? And so we were able to like really get the picture for the room, and like it just worked. And then we were able to, you buy the file, you buy the link basically for $5, and then you send it over to the guy to get it printed.
And you could print it in any size once you have the file.
You ask them, I mean, it was perfect. Yeah, it was great. That was like one thing we were like, yeah, we're doing this for every photo. And even in my own house, like photos can get expensive. Like art in our budget was pretty expensive, but we cut it down like to a third of the price. And that's another thing is kind of brings up is like, don't get these little pieces. Your centerpieces don't need to be, I don't know if you know, like some people go buy these tiny little like cactuses and put it on the table, or like just because it's like $1 at, I don't know, Dollar Tree or wherever they get it. It just looks cheap to me.
Right. I'd rather you not even do it. I agree.
Just don't do it. Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, get like big pieces. Like the photos you get, like, get big pieces. Mirrors. That's another thing we did with mirrors too. We found a mirror for like heavy, nice mirror that had been just beat up on the outside for like $20. And so we took that $20 mirror and then we glued a ton of disco balls around the edge of it, and so that saved a ton of money. You know, like, I'm sure you've seen, I don't know if you've seen that mirror yet. I don't know.
It looks great. I didn't realize you'd done that yourself, but it looks really good. It adds a lot of texture. Mm-hmm. It's one of those out of the box things that you've done that it sounds crazy, but it doesn't really stand out because the whole room is just so plush and texture filled, and it's just one more piece. Yeah, I love it. Very smart.
We did that, and it looks cool because when the sun hits at a certain time, it hits the discos and kind of reflects through the room. Another thing to save money is took the old furniture and painted it in like crazy colors. I mean, it was the old typical traditional furniture that your grandma has.
And you did do knobs though, right?
Yeah. And that's another thing I was going to say. Just change the knobs out. You have to change. So we updated the knobs to more of a, I don't know, contemporary modern look. That saves a ton too, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the most expensive thing you have to save for is freaking paint. So
Super important. Well, let's talk furniture. And I have a good hack that you probably don't love as much as I do, but I've said this many times. I'm going to say it again. You know, there was a period where I was doing 5 and 10 units at once, and that's extremely expensive. And the furniture can really blow the budget. And I really encourage you to have that in your budget. Don't buy a short-term rental unless it's already done well, you know, without that budget for decor. Even though it feels expensive to outlay all that cash, the decor is truly the cheapest thing you can do in a home. It's much cheaper than replumbing it or redoing a floor or a roof or something like that. So buy all wooden furniture that's built to last. Like, stay away from a particle board couch that comes in a box from Target. Like, please do not do that. We've dealt with that. And you also don't want furniture that looks great in photos, but then when you sit on it, it's awful. I know you've sat. There's been a chair. I remember this one time I was like, you have to sit in it. It's awful. Like, I was making you sit in it just so you could see how horrible. It was my chair in one of my furnished rentals, to be honest. But I bought it off of the internet. And when you sat on it, you wanted to go sit on the floor. Like, the floor would be more comfortable than this awful desk chair. One of my favorite hacks, as I was saying, is Rooms to Go. They have solid wood furniture. I do encourage you to go in person and look at the quality of it, because some of it is particle board and you want to kind of avoid that. Now, I don't do anything unless I do a leather couch. I'm just not interested in the other couches. They start to fray, they get worn out, they get pet hair, and leather is just so cleanable. And if you get good leather, it ages well. What are your thoughts on a leather couch, Chandler? Do you like that? Do you hate it?
it depends. I have to do whatever the decor is doing, because some leather couches don't fit with the decor. I'm going for like a kind of a rustic, darker theme. Yeah, I love a leather couch, but sometimes the juice is worth the squeeze and you have to get not a leather couch. But yeah, don't cheap on the couch. I would say that.
Right. The seating matters.
Don't cheap on the couch. That was one thing we sent back the first couch. We send a lot of stuff back when we order stuff, because we would get you. That's the thing where you're saying you order online, like, don't know. You have to like really look at the dimensions, and if you look at the dimensions and it looks little and it's like, oh, that feels a little, it's probably going to be a crappy couch or chair or whatever. And then obviously what you pay is going to determine what you get.
Right.
What you pay a little bit more, it's most likely going to be a little bit nicer.
Well, in a lot of these furniture stores, that's why I was bringing up Rooms to Go, they'll finance it for you for free. Mm-hmm. And so, that allows you to buy a massive amount of furniture. You pay a small amount down, but then you can pay that back as the property brings in revenue. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't love to do that. I don't love to go into debt, but it's worth it. And then the other hack I've done with other things, not necessarily furniture, is like, you can buy it on your credit card and then move it to a different credit card where they'll give you 6 months, same as cash. And that gives you 6 months to pay it off, once the property is bringing in revenue. So I encourage you to find a way to get nicer furniture. Don't get the stuff that only looks good in photos and no one wants to sit on it.
Yeah, no, I think there's some things that, like we say, luxury on a budget. I just don't think there's some things you can skimp on. I think you have to pay for some things, and then there's things you can save on, like the pictures and kind of like stuff like that. But there's some things that we weren't like, we're getting this. Like, we're spending the money on this. I'm sorry. But then there's some things that we were like, all right, let's save some money here, and we did. But yeah, that's the hardest thing but you have to also look at it as like, hey, if I spend 30 and get a 30% increase in my revenue per year, like, everything has a return on investment. Like, that's how you view it. I mean, you can either put 30,000 into your property, or you can go buy a whole new property that, like, your money probably can work harder if you put new decor in your property, or you can go buy a bad property. Like, it's the same thing. Like, it's just numbers. You run your numbers. Hey, I can get a 30% return on this investment. It's a pretty good return.
Well, here in Savannah, a lot of people, you pretty much have to buy a property that's already furnished and already running. And one of the properties that you worked on, it had a lot of furniture. And we really tried to use what we could. There wasn't a ton there. But, that's another hack, is like, if you can even keep 15, 20, 30% of the furniture that's in the home, that'll save you, but only keep the nice stuff that works. Like, at the end of the day, don't be so penny pinching that you lose the guests and you get bad reviews. If it's a worn out sofa, let it go. Like, don't try to take it another couple of years.
Yeah, no, that comes back to the standards thing. I just can't say it enough. Like, you just have to up your standards, and probably across the board in any business you do right now, like, your standards have just got to be up to, like, set the standard, like, be the standard, set the standard. Like, that's kind of always what I did. That was my motto when playing baseball. Yeah, I think if you just got to up your standards. Like, I think if you just go on Airbnb right now and just look, you're like, oh man, there's nothing really that's like the standards in Savannah are not that cool. But it's interesting if you go look in like and just scroll through those Airbnbs, you can tell one guy came in, blew his property up. All of Houston's looks like his properties. So he set the standard, and everybody's copying that standard to where I don't think anybody's touched that. Like, nobody has really set the standard in Savannah, and it's a good time to be the first. And if people copy you, they copy you. It's a good thing.
Yeah, we're seeing it. I mean, the stuff that is well decorated is booked right now in a tough economy. It is. And when I look, this is another thing to keep in mind. Don't select dates. Okay, because if you select dates, like if you select next weekend, you're not going to see the best stuff Savannah has to offer. Our stuff that's luxury is booked. I guarantee you it's been booked for 3, 4, 5 months. And so when you go, you're just researching your market, okay, and this is really important. Go to that city and don't select dates. Just don't select number of people. Just say, hey, I want to go to Savannah, Georgia, search, and it will show you pretty much everything. Now, Airbnb is going to pull to the top, typically, what's making them the most revenue. So you have a very good chance of seeing the best properties at the beginning if you don't select dates or number of people. The second you select 12 people, you're going to kill out a bunch of other properties. I don't know what you're going for necessarily, but like just keep in mind, just the less parameters you give it, the more properties that will pull up, and look at those. But if you select dates or whatever, you're not going to see the best properties because they're gone. So that's where you want to just be wide open. And we've seen it over and over. The stuff that looks really great, it's well decorated, it's well cared for, they're booked for almost a year. Half the time you can't even get in them. And that's exactly what we've been going for a while at Sibwas here, is like we want those luxury steady bookings far out in the future, because you can't get in unless you book way in advance. You won't even get in this unit.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is you want people to book in advance because that's when you get the higher rate. So that's when you raise your revenue there. That's another revenue booster, is like you don't want people booking last minute. Booking last minute is the lowest rates you can get, basically. So you got to stand out to where you're the first property or second or third or whatever that gets booked, because you get those higher rates way out in advance. And so, yeah, most of the good properties we have are probably booked all the way to like April. Like,
yeah, we've got a few into June. It's
even,
absolutely booked already.
Yeah, so
not in the ones that aren't luxury. They're wide open.
So just be like, I would just say be picky with, if there's something that's kind of like bothering you, like be picky about it. I think the little things sets you apart, even if it's like something as little as like, I've seen some people that are like, yeah, my AC unit's a little dusty. I keep the AC unit clean. And I'm like, hey, I like it. You know, like it's nobody looks at the AC unit, but hey, that's pretty cool. Like, make sure everything is, that's kind of the standard they set for themselves. And I respect it. So,
thank you. Well, and a lot of times you'll see a great property, and I probably own several of them. I'm thinking of one that we manage right now. It's a great location. It has off-street parking. The bathroom is this big. I mean, you can fit one human and one small child in the bathroom. And we have had that feedback. The bathroom is small. There's nothing that owner can do about that bathroom. I'm sure you know which one I'm speaking about, Chandler. That's not their fault. But you can overcome weird, and it's the only bathroom in the property, okay? It's a 1-bathroom unit, which there are a ton of those in Savannah. So that's insurmountable. There's nothing the owner can do. He's not going to redesign the whole place because of the bathroom. But if you can make up with it with amenities and great decor, the guests don't even notice those weird things. They don't even notice that the kitchen is too small because they're so amazed by the hot tub out back or the amazing television or the view, So you want to almost kind of like get the hand over here waving, so ignore the hand over here. Guests are very forgiving if you're giving them something else.
Yeah, no, another thing, like if you do have something that you can't really change, just make sure it's like, do something to where like, make sure that bathroom is like insanely clean. Right. Or like, just like make sure like when they do go in that bathroom that they probably aren't going to like it's like, wow, okay, this bathroom, it is clean, like the caulk looks good, like like some bathrooms.
It's well lit. It has a gorgeous shower curtain that's luxury if there is a shower curtain. Obviously glass is another upgrade that you can do. People do appreciate that. Have beautiful baskets filled with amenities. There's ways to make that bathroom as nice as it can possibly be.
If you have like an eyesore or something that you can't change, just do the best you can. There ain't a whole lot you can do with it.
Chandler, talk to us about curtains. You do a lot. Again, we're talking about things that most people don't even notice, and we don't want them to notice, but it really affects the whole feel. talk about how much you spend on curtains and how important that is. What are your thoughts?
So that's another thing that we don't skimp on. We don't skip on curtains because it's so easy to get the cheap ones, but we want the heavy looking ones. They look expensive. It looks, because the cheap ones kind of flare out. So we spend a little bit more on curtains than we would like, and we hadn't really found a hack. IKEA has some pretty good ones, some heavier looking one. Yeah, I don't think there's a cheap version. That's another, like, I think curtains and rugs.
Yes. I used to buy the cheapest rugs, and I have regretted that for years. You want it to feel plush, be thick, last forever, because a rug that lasts you 6 months, you don't want that. When they're curling up on the ends, no guest wants to stay there.
The key to rugs is when you're ordering them, so they'll show you the backside of them, and there will be like this 2-inch kind of slit going across it that you'll be able to see. And those are like the nice rugs.
It's like a piece of tape, right?
A 2-inch looking tape, yeah. Like that's when you know it's nice. If you don't see that, you kind of see like just a thread. Those are the cheap rugs.
Agreed. Well, and back to the curtains, Chandler, too. You always make sure they're the right length. Okay, we don't want them to be too short. We don't want it to be too long. We had this one property where there was one curtain on the left window and one curtain on the right window. No, do a complete set of curtains that match the room, that are sized correctly. They need to look expensive, feel expensive. And I mean, we never replace curtains. Like if you'll invest in those curtains one time, get it right, they will serve you for years. Maybe we're going to, take dust out or maybe throw them in the dryer or something. My other pet peeve about curtains is I see it all the time. People will buy nice curtains and they'll put them up and they don't iron them. Why would you put up a curtain in your gorgeous short-term rental and have the lines from the packaging? I've seen that 1,000 times.
We actually hem the curtains too to make sure they are so we got expensive curtains and we have to hem them. They were long. We don't like them. When they just sit flush on the floor and they look super straight and clean, it's just nothing beats that look. You cannot beat the perfect looking curtain. At the top of the ceiling and drape all the way down. You just can't beat it.
And you don't want the guests to step on it either. I've seen that a million times where the curtains were too long. If they'd have spent, I don't even know, an hour, 30 minutes hemming them. Yep. Now that when you yank on that heavy curtain or even a crappy curtain, that's going to pull your curtain rod out of the wall. And now you have a junky unit, like instantly. It's got to be the right length.
Yeah, the right length was really nice. And that takes some time. Like that's the things people don't want to do, but you have to do it. You have to suck it up and do it. Yeah, that takes some time. You have to measure and you have to fold and hem, blah, blah, blah. A really good look. Another thing is, which was I was like, hey, we have to have these picture frames all at a certain level across the entire room and the entire house.
And you're talking the height from the ceiling down to the top of the picture frame. Is that correct?
Most people, I used to be this. I'm 6'2", so I would always be hanging it too tall because I was taught, so I would put it up at my eye level and it would just be too tall. So, but the key is you do the picture frame 57 inches from the bottom up to the wall. And then the middle of that picture frame needs to be 57 inches.
Interesting.
Sometimes you have to go, there's a little buffer there, but that's the general rule. But that's another thing that really helps with everything looking kind of super clean. When you're walking into the living room and all that, everything looks super uniform. Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves too, is make sure you hang the things at the proper.
Right. And use a leveler. When I was doing all my units, we would not just do one screw in the wall. We would do two because we'd get it level. And then you want two things holding it there, because once it tips and people walk in and they see that, or you see it all the time where either they're really small and they're up too high, or they'll have, let's say, 4 photos in a row, but they're at different heights or they're twisted. I've watched people look at houses where I'm showing a house and they're like, oh, these pictures, it just catches your eye. So just be aware that detail really matters to your guests. So if you can get that picture on the wall at the right height, that's level, and it stays that way for 20 years, winning.
It takes a lot. But the best thing is to get that laser. Get a laser and it'll laser the entire room, and then you already have everything, The laser was a really nice tool to have. If you're wanting to do this by yourself, get you a laser, and then you'll be able to put a laser across the entire room, and then you'll be able to just hang everything kind of uniform.
It's not too expensive, is it? Do you know how much that costs, Chandler?
I don't know the cost of them, but I don't think it's a good purchase if you need it.
I agree. It was interesting seeing the units that you've taken, and when we walked in, they were different curtains and photos and everything, and then you and that laser walked in, and just put the time in in the beginning, and that property will serve you for years and years and years to come. It's so worth those photos. They last, the curtains, they last. Just do it right.
Yeah, I would just say like when you're buying a short-term rental, like have some. Obviously, you got to have your down payment cash, but then you got to have your furnishing cash. Like you got to have it. If you don't have it, like it's hard to help you out having a successful short-term rental.
I agree. Have some set aside. Everyone, the clickbait on social media is got $1 million property for no cash down. It's not going to happen. Okay. And you need to have the cash and you need to have a little bit more set aside because it's probably going to cost more than you want it to. But I still encourage you to go ahead and do it because those photos and the guest reviews and everything is going to serve you for many, many years.
Set the standards, have high standards. If there's something you don't like make sure it's right. Spend the time on the little things and be picky, that's what I would say. Be picky. It's not just fine. Make sure it's perfect.
What are your recommendations on throw pillows? I know you do a lot with a throw pillow. Talk about throw pillows. That really adds a lot of texture.
Yeah. So throw pillows are a lot of money. Like so much money. It's kind of insane how much throw pillows are. But we spend the money on throw pillows. I mean, thousands. We were in the thousands for throw pillows, believe it or not. But there are good throw pillows that you can get that actually saves you money. Like if you go to Home Goods and all that or whatever, you can spend a pretty good chunk. But there's certain pillows too. There's a certain throw pillow you just don't buy. Like don't buy like the cotton ones that can't fluff in and chop. And then some are too small. There's certain throw pillows that you have to buy that are cheaper. And then we do covers. Like we bought a throw pillow and then put a cover on it. When you first start doing it, you order a cover and you're like, oh, this doesn't look good. So that's the thing. You're going to have to probably just send back and order more covers. And you get good. Eventually, you'll start being like, okay, I know this is a good brand. I know this isn't a good brand. But yeah, throw pillows, thousands. That wasn't something we weren't skimping on. I was trying so hard to skimp on that. Like I wanted, just budget-wise, I was like, spending this much on pillows, this is crazy. But it's just so worth it. Like it makes the bed look like it needs to be made. Like that's
something most people don't do. You stand out right there because you have this plush bed with multiple colors and textures. And I bought for one property from Home Goods and you're like, no, you changed the whole thing. And I was like, really? And then I was like, oh, dang, you nailed it as always. But your average Joe doesn't even know what a throw pillow is. You know what I mean? But when you come in and go, I've got 6 deep on this bed and you look at the photos, you want to dive into that bed every time.
Yeah, no, that's another thing, like throw pillows and then the duvet covers and getting the right duvet covers and all that stuff. And then we also have a quilt at the end of the bed that adds extra color. All those little details, like they add up, but man, it ties everything in. It just makes the whole place look so different.
Right.
So.
Do you buy anything used or is it all brand new?
No, we bought everything brand new. Nothing new, unless, like you said, we had some furniture that was already in the property that we knew we could make look good by adding new hardware and painting it. And yeah, we got it obviously professionally sprayed. It wasn't like spray painted. Like it was professionally sprayed and like that, it looks really good. But that's a cheap alternative to save money. Like we weren't just buying everything brand new. Like we had no budget in mind. Like we were very conscious. We were like, all right, what's going to pop the most and what do we have to spend money on? And then we put that in the budget and it's like, hey, we got to spend money here. And then, all right, we got this left over and then kind of we worked our way back.
Well, and interesting, you said something so interesting to me. One of the units that you did, incredible. I mean, the revenue's gone 30 to 40% higher than what it was before you stepped in and decorated it. One thing you told me was you said, oh yeah, I did the photos a specific way so they would hide the floor. And I was like, what? And I looked down and the home had a very basic tile floor that you don't want to rip out. That would be extremely expensive. Okay, so we're not like expecting every owner to just completely rehab the whole place. But what you walked in and did was you said, we have a very basic plain floor that kind of goes with everything and kind of goes with nothing. Those are my words. But what you put over that to kind of cover that, you put luxury rugs, you put lots of things to catch the eye. You don't even notice the floor. In fact, I forgot what the floor looked like until you pointed that out, that none of the photos showed the flooring. And I thought, oh my gosh, brilliant. Like, that's just such a smart hack where you're like, let's not spend the money on this. We'll hide it. And you did a great job. How do you hide the floor on a 2,000 square foot home? You did it.
Massive rugs. And yeah, the photographer did a good job. I was like, hey, we hate these floors. So we made it where it looks good. We obviously weren't hiding the floors in the photos, but like you don't see it as much. But it's funny.
They're down.
You start decorating the property and these owners want to start spending more because they're like, man, that just doesn't look right. like I just need to replace it now. You start getting them to kind of like, the owner was like, man, I kind of want to replace these floors just because I know that's one thing. Sometimes you can time the floors and sometimes you can't. But we were lucky to, there's a neutral color, so.
Right. Luckily, it was neutral. And I just thought that was really smart. And I mean, personally, in my own portfolio, I will never, ever do LVP ever again. And I know it's cheaper and it's waterproof. Both of those things are lies. Every brand new LVP floor I've ever put in, I have now replaced or I'm about to. And I love an all wood floor or an all tile floor. You know, I don't necessarily want tile throughout the whole home, but I've been spending the extra money in just doing the wood. And if it needs to be re-sanded and glazed, I do it. I spend the money before I put any furniture on, because once you do put the furniture in, you can't redo the floors, right? So I'd almost rather, if I have to do it, I'd rather tackle that day one before I throw my nice decor on top. What are your thoughts on that, Chandler?
Floors so expensive, so that can ruin a budget really quick.
Very quickly.
It just depends. Like if you can spend like on the floor, I would love to just go ahead and get the floor replaced, because long term too, like it helps a property. You don't want to really have to go back in constantly replace it, because it's just a headache to move all that furniture. But yeah, I think if you can bite the bullet and replace that floor and get what you need and get what you want, that's going to last long. Hey, I'm trying to get everything done ASAP so that I can kind of sit back and don't have to worry about those big CapEx expenses down the road.
I've learned the hard way, just do the floor right from the beginning, and the bathroom as well. I will never again do a plexiglass tub and surround, never. I will always do a ceramic tub and a tile surround, because that will last forever. I will never redo that bathroom ever again. I can change the faucet, whatever. That's nothing. I'm talking about the big stuff. So if you're going to spend money on the floor or the bathroom or the kitchen, but mainly the bathrooms, I just really encourage you to do it right and have a long-term view on that property. Even though it's going to cost you more from the beginning, the dollars you spend today redoing that bathroom are nothing to compare to the dollars you'll spend 8 years from now on that same bathroom. Those costs are just going to keep going up. So yeah. I'm big on that.
That's another thing about short-term rentals. Like if you have a bathroom that just needs to be redone or something like that, you kind of have to. For me, like I do not want to feel nasty getting in and out of a shower. And like if it's costing you like where you're like, oh, I don't have that much money for decor since I got to redo the bathroom. Like you got to go find that money somewhere. Like I don't know what else to do.
Agreed.
You have to make sure the bathrooms feel really nice and clean.
Well, one hack you can do is a lot of times the cabinet is fine, but the sink and countertop are disgusting. And you can save money if the cabinet's fine. Okay, that's a big if. If you can just paint the cabinet and put on new knobs and then put a granite top with a nice sink and new faucet, that is so worth it over having a guest come into this nasty old bathroom sink. The rest of the house is gorgeous, and then you go into the bathroom and you're just like, oh, this is from the 80s, wonderful. Don't just put in the extra few $100s there. Then you're done. You don't have to do it in the future. Just suck it up and get it done right. It makes such a difference. A lot of times the faucets are caked. Don't clean it. Just get a new faucet. Okay, I've seen that 1,000 times.
Yeah, that's very difficult to clean. But yeah, that's just know that short-term rentals are not cheap to get into. Like it's a pretty big chunk of change to get into a short-term rental. Right. It's not one of those where like, hey, we're going to get into this short-term rental for no money down. Like, nah, I wouldn't recommend that. You can probably do it, but I don't recommend it.
But the output is going to match the effort that you input. Okay. So the more you put in, and you want to do it right, you don't want to just throw money in it to throw money. You want to be very purposeful with those dollars, but they will come back year after year after year. They will come back, and the reviews will show it. The revenue will show it. Man, I see it all the time where people are selling their properties because it's such poor revenue. And I'm like, why don't you just redecorate? I don't feel like it. And I'm like, it's not even that hard. If they would just redecorate and manage it appropriately for a couple of years, they could sell it for a whole lot more, and places like Sid was here, we do it for them. It's not like the owner even has to touch anything.
Yeah, no, that's the thing about that's like you're in hospitality now and you're running a business and you got to put some work in. Like it's not passive income. Like it's not passive at all. You're putting work in, and like think about hotels. They constantly have to like re-update. I'm pretty sure, I could be completely wrong. I'm pretty sure like hotels are forced to update every like 5 years. I'm pretty sure like they have to. And like the same goes, it's not quite the same with short-term rentals, but I think there is like, hey, you kind of have to keep evolving and like keep making it nice or keeping it nice. After 5 years, things do get a little reinvesting, I guess you would say.
But typically just on the smaller items, you're rarely going to replace a bed. And if the mattress is well protected, you're probably not going to replace the mattress. Okay, I've gotten new towels and some new sheets and some throw pillows, whatever. If we can, we'll pass that off to the guest. If the towel is stained, we'll get the insurance policy to pay for it. Frequently the owners aren't paying for that. But I agree, it is important to keep up. Maybe you need to repaint the door every 5 or 10 years if it gets a lot of abuse. Things like that. It is so worth it if you can keep those reviews up. Those reviews really bring in the money.
For sure. I think decor is a big thing right now. I think that's where it's headed. I'm trying to think 5 steps ahead of like where it's headed next, because I think eventually everybody's going to have extremely nice decor. And that's another thing too, is like you can redecorate and like think you're redecorating and it's going to make more money. But if you don't do it, like there's a certain way that you have to redecorate to create more income for your short-term rental. I don't think you can just go in and like, hey, I put throw pillows in my house. It looks luxury. And I don't think sometimes it might work, but I don't think that's the way. You have to be very strategic about it.
Yeah. It needs to be a whole plan, not just one thing, not one photo and one throw pillow. We have a plan. There's a theme. And as you walk through the home, you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Every room needs to just be stunning, and it'll pay for itself. That money will come back if you invest the time and the thought process. And that's where professional really pays for themselves. Okay. A pro is going to know these things and be able to do it very quickly versus someone go up on Instagram for hours and thinking they have a plan. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. So
yeah, we've seen that.
How many times have we been told, oh, my wife is the best decorator? We hear that all the time, and I'm always like, oh no. There was one I'll never forget years ago. He said, she's a professional decorator. And I told you, I said, oh, I can't wait. She's a pro. And you and I both walked in, and I remember trying not to look you in the eye because I knew you were thinking the same thing as me. We were both just like, oh gosh, used everything. There wasn't a theme. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't what I thought.
That goes to the standards. Like, I think some people just need to be told, hey, like, this is terrible. And I feel like I'm a better person for telling you it's terrible because it's going to help you out in the long run. So if you think you have a terrible property, it's most likely terrible. If you're listening to this, please just like, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. some people just got to raise their standards. Like, you think this is good, but it's probably not. Like, I want people to think like that. It'll help them in the long run. Like, hey, like.
That's right. I always say go in with a critical eye and compare what you're looking at with other stuff that's booked solid and go, is it at that level or is it not? And we're able to do that.
You have to be realistic with yourself. Like, I understand that the economy is like sluggish, but here's the deal too. 50% of the population is richer than ever, and then the bottom 50% of the population is poorer than ever. So, and that's a fact. So you got 50% that's richer than ever. Choose your avatar. You probably want to go towards the 50% that's richer than ever. And the richer people, this is an investing podcast. The reason they're richer is because they have assets, and assets have gone through the roof. Poorer don't have assets. So I would make my short-term rental go towards the top 50% because those are the people that are just continuing to get richer today. Now, the issue is when you go for those people, they have higher standards. That's probably why they're a little bit wealthier, because the standards they've set for themselves and where they stay and what they do are higher. So your standards have to be higher too. Going back to this,
Chandler has the revenue to back up everything he just said. Everything he says he puts into practice, and it works. And we tell owners all day, all night, you need to redecorate. They'll complain about the revenue. Let us redecorate. No, that's too expensive. You know what's expensive? A vacant unit. That's expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive. And yeah, I'm kind of to the point where I'm getting to like, hey, owner, like you're either this is a hobby for you or you're all in on this game. And I just think some owners were, this was a hobby for them and it was biting them in the butt, and now they got to get really good at what they're doing.
Agreed.
I hope you take this as a coaching moment and not me being harsh.
You know what though, Chandler? That's what we're here to do, is tell the truth, and I'm proud of that. We're not here to do clickbait. We're not here to make promises that no one or their grandmother could ever keep. We're in the market. We're living this every day, and we're handling these complaints from owners, which is, I need more revenue. You need better decor. I don't want to redo that. Okay, then be okay with the no revenue. You know, like there's one owner in particular, I'm like, I don't have any new info for you. It's the same thing I've been telling you for several years. If you don't want to listen, it's okay. You know, that's fine, but they're going to be a hobbyist and they're looking at the other ones going, how are they booking all the time? Well, it was professionally decorated and well managed.
Well, what they do is they make an excuse all but the economy. And I'm like, Okay, keep blaming it for the next 4 years. Just keep blaming it. And then the next 4 years, you're going to blame it again, and you're going to have your one up cycle, and then you look like a genius for your one up cycle, and then you're going to go back to just a flat economy. It's not like this bull market all the time. You can't just wait. That's my opinion on it. I could be wrong.
There are different versions of taste, but the nice thing about using a professional decorator is they're not in love with the home. And especially if they understand a short-term rental and what makes revenue in a short-term rental, that's who you want. You don't want just your average, I'm going to decorate your home. You want someone that understands the short-term rental and the level of abuse it's going to take and the wear and tear and yada, yada. It's a specialist that's going to pay for themselves and really do a good job for you. I mean, there's one that I helped them buy the place, and then they used some decorator that made the place look like a circus. And I mean, they spent a fortune. You know the unit I'm talking about, Chandler. Horrible decor. It wouldn't book because the decor was so poor. The decorator had no clue about Savannah, no taste whatsoever. I think they were raised in a circus somehow. It was horrendous. So yeah, they spent the money, but they did it wrong. They used the wrong person to do the wrong decor in the wrong city. Maybe, I don't know where that would go, but definitely not here. They ended up selling the property at a loss because it wouldn't book, and they blamed the market. And it's like, I blame the professionals that you chose to decorate from out of the country or out of the state. I think they used a decorator from California or something. I don't even know. It was definitely not a local person that knew what a local guest. I don't even think the decorator had ever even been to Savannah. And it's like, you want to match the town and the themes and the things going on here. Why would you have cows and a desert scene in a Savannah short-term rental? I see that all the time. We have no cows, and we definitely don't have any deserts. Like, ew, like
when you see cows and bulls and all that kind of stuff in your short-term rentals, it's because it's just really cheap at like Walmart and all that places, and that's just what they did.
They went to Hobby Lobby and they bought something that was cute.
Exactly.
But if it's a short-term rental in Texas, I would be like, oh my gosh, that's adorable. Like, I have no issue with that if it matches the theme of the town. But Savannah is all about the trees and the marshes and the wildlife and the moss and the mansions and the antiques. That can all work, but I've seen a lot of crazy decor, right decor in the wrong city, basically.
Yeah. Play to your strengths. If you feel like you're not very good at taste and decor, like, just don't try to do it yourself. I think you're better off just trying to, like, the money you think you're saving by doing it yourself, you're probably actually not saving money. And another thing that helps with decor is like speed. If you can get it listed quicker, that helps a lot too.
Very true. Many of my clients, when we're in the due diligence period, I'm in there with them. I have this program and I do a floor plan, and the floor plan includes dimensions. We've got the floor plan. You can order everything. You can have it ready. You can have your painter hired. You can get quotes. You can do a lot when you're under contract on the property, so that day 2, you close on a Friday. That Saturday, you've got a handyman, you've got a painter, whatever it is. And we've listed very large units in less than 3 weeks because we were ready to go. And we just got the team in there. You put that money in and get the property launched. I mean, that's going to pay for itself very quickly, especially when you're going into high season.
Yeah, just be really good at what you do. And I think that's all I have to say for today.
I agree. Thank you, Chandler. You really add so much value, and you're a wealth of knowledge. I cannot give you enough props for what you're doing here.
I appreciate it. You as well. So we're doing this together. In it together forever.
That's right.
Anyways, we appreciate y'all listening today. If there's anything else that maybe you had questions while we're speaking, I know I always have questions while I'm listening to podcasts. Like, reach out to us.
Absolutely.
And please just ask. And then maybe we can just do a whole podcast, because that's how sometimes we make up podcasts is it'll be one question and we can do one whole podcast on it. So if you ask us, you might get a whole podcast on the one question that you do ask.
And if you see any great, short-term rentals or any horrible ones, please post those in the comments. We would love to make fun of them with you. Please, we really want this to be an interactive conversation. And Chandler, we'll also try to put some of your amazing work in the show notes. Like, I think anyone that hasn't seen your work really should. And it's amazing. It's really cool. And there's a lot more to come. It's really awesome what you're doing here. So we'll try to keep sharing all that so you can kind of see what we're talking about.
For sure. But please like, comment, subscribe, share. And we will see you in the next episode. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Fields of green, seeds of sweat I sow. Running numbers, watch the cash trees grow. Dream big, work hard, no limit to the sky. Savannah roots run deep, hustle amplified.